He said I could name her if we ever had a boy, but the girl, that was his dream, so I let him name our daughter. And then I found that name tattooed on another woman's collarbone. Yeah, let that sink in. I was nursing our newborn at 3 a.m., leaking, exhausted, covered in spit-up and nipple cream, when I did what every new mom swears she won't do. I scrolled Instagram. And there she was. Tanned, toned, tank top barely hanging on, with a tattoo on her clavicle in delicate cursive that read, Esme. The name I bled for. The name I labored for. The name I cried over when we signed her birth certificate, because it meant so much to him, and I wanted our girl to feel wanted by her dad from the first breath. That same name, now permanently inked into the skin of a woman I didn't recognize, who happened to comment heart emojis under every single one of his photos. And suddenly, I wasn't tired anymore. Suddenly, I was wide awake, rage awake. And maybe I should have just asked him. Maybe I should have waited until morning and said, Hey babe, weird question, why does this rando on Instagram have our daughter's name tattooed on her chest? But I didn't. Because the second I clicked her profile, I saw everything I needed to see. She had 12K followers, some kind of influencer-light vibe, lots of brunch pics and Pilates reels. But buried in her highlights was one called My Angel. Curiosity got the best of me. I tapped it. And then I saw it. A photo of her in a hospital gown, holding a stillborn baby swaddled in pink. Caption: Esme Grace, born sleeping, you were the love of my life. I dropped the phone. I swear I heard it crack when it hit the floor. But not as loud as the sound inside me, that internal shatter of everything I thought was true. Because I didn't choose that name. He did. He begged for it, said it felt right, said it had always been in his heart, that it just came to him. And now I knew why. Because he'd already used it. On a different child. With a different woman. And never told me. He buried an entire life, and then resurrected it with me. And I gave birth to someone else's ghost. If you had asked me 6 months ago what kind of dad Ryan would be, I would have said obsessed. And not in the Instagram dad, choreographed dance kind of way. I mean the real deal. He read parenting blogs. He bookmarked articles about sleep training. He even started eating prenatal gummies in solidarity. Like we were both growing something. We painted the nursery together. Well, I painted. He picked the color, sage green, because it felt calm. He played Mozart to my belly. He cried when we heard the heartbeat. Hell, he cried when we couldn't hear it at first and they had to rescan. He wanted this baby more than anything, or so I thought. We had been trying for 2 years. 2 rounds of Clomid, 1 round of IVF that failed, and 1 absolutely brutal miscarriage that I blamed myself for until my therapist basically slapped me with her eyebrows. So when we finally got pregnant again, naturally, by some cruel miracle, I told myself it was fate. That everything hard before this was the universe clearing the runway. We didn't even fight about names at first. When we found out it was a girl, I immediately wanted Rowan. Gender-neutral, soft, strong, he shook his head. No, he said, I've always had this name in my head, since before I met you. I laughed, what like some psychic baby vision? He shrugged, something like that. And when he said Esme, he looked straight through me, like he was seeing something or someone else. But I didn't question it, because I was just so damn relieved we were both on the same page. And frankly, I was tired. Tired of decision-making. Tired of pregnancy. Tired of being the one to carry everything, literally and metaphorically. So I said yes. I gave him the name. And the day she was born, I let him write it on the hospital certificate himself. Hand trembling like he was signing the Declaration of Independence. Esme Grace Callahan, he whispered. Grace, I hadn't agreed on a middle name, but in the moment, I was too high on adrenaline and IV drugs to care. Grace was my grandma's name, he said quickly. I meant to ask, but you were pushing. It felt small. It felt stupid to argue. I nodded. And then I almost died. Severe postpartum hemorrhage. Blood everywhere. Nurses swarming. I was fatting in and out while someone barked orders and Ryan stood in the corner, white as a sheet, holding our daughter like she was the only thing tethering him to the floor. So yeah, arguing over middle names felt like a bad use of breath. We went home, we started our new life. Late nights, cluster feeds, half-eaten DoorDash orders and nipple shields in every drawer, the usual. I was exhausted, but he was steady, supportive, at least on the surface. Until I noticed he never said her name out loud. He'd say baby girl or little one or just hey you, but rarely did I hear him say Esme. I pointed it out once. He said, I just like nicknames better, it's a guy thing. But something about it felt off. Still, I brushed it aside. I was deep in postpartum fog. Hormones were a full-time hallucination. My boobs were constantly on fire. I hadn't pooped in 4 days. I wasn't in the headspace to play detective. But my body knew before my brain did. I felt it in the quiet moments. The tension. The moments he looked at her with something more than love, like grief or guilt. Like he was seeing someone else. Someone not there. I thought I was imagining it, that I was being a paranoid, emotionally wrecked new mom. Until that Instagram scroll changed everything. Until that name tattooed on someone else's body made me realize the name I bled for was never mine to begin with. I didn't sleep that night. Not a wink. Esme was curled up on my chest, warm and soft and breathing in little kitten puffs, and I just laid there, staring at the ceiling like it might give me an answer. How do you even begin to process something like that? That your child, your only child, was named after another woman's dead baby. And that your husband never told you. That he looked you in the eye while you were pushing life into the world, and let you believe this name was just a sweet idea, not a haunted monument. At first, I wanted to believe it was a coincidence. I did. I wanted so badly to think, maybe it's just a common name. Maybe he doesn't even know her. Maybe this is one big internet mix-up, and I'm just a crazy, underslept mom losing her mind at 3 a.m. So I went digging. I found her page again, let's call her Jade. I started going through her posts, all the way back to the beginning. And there he was. Ryan. In the likes. Not just recently, not just once or twice, but on every damn photo. From 2019 onward. Beach pics, book selfies, hospital shots, even Esme Grace's pregnancy announcement post. Captioned, we've waited so long to meet her. His comment, she's already so loved, you're going to be amazing. Dated 2 years before our daughter was born. I felt like throwing up. I wanted to wake him up and scream. I wanted to shake him until his secrets poured out of his mouth like teeth. But I didn't. I needed more. So I opened his laptop. I know how it sounds. But come on, at that point, privacy was a joke. He'd already violated the sacred without permission. The laptop wasn't even password protected, like he wanted me to find it. And what I found? Emails. Hundreds. Between him and Jade. Some going back years, before me, during me, after me. There were love letters, there were playlists, there were travel plans. There was grief, raw, aching grief after their baby died. She sent him a photo of her Esme's tiny feet, wrapped in hospital blue. He replied, I promise one day she'll live again. I swear I'll make it right. And then silence. The emails stopped right around when I got pregnant. So that was it. That's what I was. The second chance. The blank page. The womb to rewrite history. He never told me about her. He never told me he'd had a daughter before. Never mentioned a stillbirth, a partner, a past. He just transferred the whole fantasy into my life like it was a damn Pinterest board. I was furious, humiliated, sick. And somehow it got worse. Because I went back to Jade's Instagram one more time, and I found something new. A comment she had posted under one of Ryan's recent baby photos. Our baby. It said, she looks just like her. And he liked it. No response, no heart emoji, no delete, just a like. Like they were sharing a secret in plain sight. Like I was the last to know. I closed the laptop and sat on the floor for what felt like an hour, staring at the baby monitor, watching Esme sleep. Not her, my Esme. And that's when it hit me. I didn't even know if I had named my own child, or if I had simply inherited someone else's grief. And it was time to make him explain. I waited until morning, mostly because if I'd done it at night, I might have thrown a lamp at his head, and I didn't want blood on the rug. Esme was in her bassinet, sunlight soft through the blinds, and Ryan came into the kitchen rubbing his eyes, yawning like he hadn't just built our entire life on a stolen name. He kissed my cheek. And I flinched. Not dramatically, just enough for him to pause. "You okay?" he asked. I poured coffee like I wasn't about to set our marriage on fire. "Fine, just tired." He leaned against the counter and started talking about some dream he had, something about a dog and a ferry ride. I wasn't listening. I was staring at the tattoo burned into my memory. Esme, slanted across another woman's skin, more permanent than ink. When he finally shut up, I looked at him and said, "Do you know someone named Jade?" He blinked. "Jade." His mouth said it like he was reading it for the first time. And I would have believed him if I hadn't read hundreds of his words to her. "Yeah," I said. "Jade, blonde, tattoo above her collarbone, big fan of your Instagram." A silence. Then, "No, why?" I set my mug down. "Because she has our daughter's name tattooed on her chest, and a photo of a stillborn baby, also named Esme Grace." His face drained. I wish I could say he tried harder to lie. But he didn't. He just sat down. On the bar stool, like gravity had won. "How long?" I asked. Still nothing. So I repeated it, louder. "How long, Ryan?" Finally, he looked up at me, not with fear, not with shame, but with grief. "Before you," he said, "we were together 2 years. We got pregnant, it was rough. We lost her, and everything after that just stopped." I was frozen. He kept going. "I didn't think I'd ever get another chance, and then I met you. And you were God, you were light, you made things feel clean. New, I wasn't trying to replace her." "But you did," I snapped. "You replaced her with me." "I loved you," he said. "Loved," I repeated, past tense. "No, love, I love you. I didn't know how to tell you." "Bullshit, you didn't want to ruin the fantasy." That landed, his face twisted. "It wasn't a fantasy. I wanted this life, with you, with her, she felt like a second chance." I laughed, short, sharp, empty. She, our daughter, or Jade? He didn't answer. Which was its own answer. I stood there shaking. Not from rage would have been easier. But from violation. This wasn't cheating in the traditional sense. He hadn't slept with her behind my back, at least not recently. No secret hotel rooms, no sexts, just a repurposed life. He'd taken something sacred, our child's name, and used it to heal a wound I didn't even know existed. He built a bridge from his past to our future without ever asking if I wanted to walk across it. And the worst part, I loved that name. I still do. When I say Esme, I see my baby. My daughter's smile, the way she hiccups in her sleep, her milk-drunk face. But now the name tastes different in my mouth, like something borrowed, something haunted. I left him sitting there, still staring into nothing. I went to the nursery, scooped up my daughter, and held her close like I could somehow protect her from the story she didn't choose. And that's when the idea came to me. The story he didn't want to tell. I'd tell it for him, but not the way he expected. I didn't cry. I didn't throw things. I didn't scream into the mirror or cut up his t-shirts with kitchen scissors while Adele played in the background. I did laundry. I folded burp cloths. I matched socks. I wiped spit up off the floor and scraped dried oatmeal off Esma's high chair. Because that's what moms do. Even when their whole life is crumbling like the bottom of a Dollar Tree diaper bag, moms keep going. But the thoughts, they didn't stop. Every time I looked at my daughter, I wondered if her name still belonged to her, or if I had accidentally made her a living memorial to a ghost child I never knew existed. And that's when the guilt kicked in. Because what if my Esme grew up one day and found that tattoo on the internet? What if she Googled her own name and saw it already carved into another woman's body? What if she thought she was the replacement? That's when the rage came back. And it didn't come back quiet. It came back viral. I sat down during one of her naps, hair unwashed, hoodie stained, full-blown mom zombie mode, and I filmed a video. Just me, in front of the nursery wall, the alphabet stickers behind me still peeling at the corners. Title: 30 Things I Realized After My Husband Named Our Baby After His Dead Daughter with Another Woman. I didn't yell. I didn't even name him. I just told the story. One line at a time. 1. If a man says a name just came to him, check his ex's Instagram. 6. Tattoos don't lie, but husbands do. 12. A birth certificate can be a love letter to someone who isn't you. 23. Just because the baby is yours doesn't mean the name is. 30. My daughter deserves a story that begins with her, not someone else's ending. I posted it. Closed the app. Didn't expect anything. By morning, it had over 3 million views. Comments were pouring in. Women saying things like, "Holy shit, this happened to me too," and "Why is this some man's idea of emotional healing?" And "Girl, please sell the movie rights." But the best part? The memes. Someone had found Jade's tattoo pic and turned it into a TikTok trend. When you think your man's a girl dad, but you're just part 2, with zoom-in clips of clavicle tattoos and sad ukulele music. The internet did what it does best. It turned pain into popcorn. And for the first time in weeks, I laughed. Not because it wasn't still awful, not because I wasn't still hurting, but because I told the story on my terms. He tried to call. 5 times. He texted, "You're making this worse." I replied, "No, I'm just making it visible." The truth had been buried, neatly, quietly, like a stillborn secret wrapped in silence. And now it had a spotlight. But I wasn't done. Because the internet moves fast, but I wanted it to sting slow. So I started filming more. Not messy drama, not dragging him by name. Just quiet, clean burns. 5 phrases my husband said that should have been red flags. Baby names I'd choose now that I know better. Why I don't trust anyone who says, "It just felt right." People ate it up. My DMs exploded. Interviews, brand deals. One publisher even reached out. And through it all, he kept texting. "Can we talk? This isn't fair. You're hurting Esme." No, Ryan. You hurt her the moment you named her for a life you never mourned properly. And you hurt me the second you turned my motherhood into a sequel. He showed up on my doorstep the day the BuzzFeed article dropped. Yeah, BuzzFeed. Somehow the story made it there under the headline. She let her husband name their baby, now that name's a tattoo on his ex. It wasn't just viral anymore. It was cultural commentary. And I didn't pitch it. I didn't sell the story. Someone just connected the dots, probably from my TikTok captions and Reddit spill. But the internet did what the internet does, and it was everywhere. So when he knocked on the door, holding a bouquet of gas station flowers like that would fix being publicly turned into a cautionary tale, I didn't even hesitate. I opened the door. Took the bouquet. Dropped it directly in the trash can beside the porch. Then looked him straight in the eye and said, "You should probably come inside before a neighbor gets this on their Ring cam." He followed me in like a dog that knew it was about to be put down. I didn't offer him coffee or a seat. I just stood there, arms crossed. Like every woman in every true crime reenactment who finally figured out her husband was a walking red flag in khaki pants. I didn't think it would blow up like this, he started. I laughed. No, of course not. You thought it'd stay quiet, like everything else you buried. I didn't lie, he said. I just didn't tell you. That's the definition of lying. He ran a hand through his hair like that would summon intelligence. I wasn't trying to erase Jade. I wasn't trying to replace her either. Oh, so what were you trying to do? Frankenstein your dead relationship into mine. He winced. That's not fair. I stepped closer. You know what's not fair? Looking at my baby girl and wondering if her name is hers. If she'll grow up Googling herself and find out she wasn't the beginning of a story, just a recycled title. He opened his mouth. I held up a finger. No, you don't get to rewrite this. Not now. He was quiet. And for the first time, I saw it, not guilt, not sadness, but panic. Because it wasn't just me anymore. It was the internet. It was public. He hadn't just hurt his wife. He'd lost control of the narrative. And for a man like Ryan, that was the real betrayal. You embarrassed me, he finally said. You humiliated me in front of everyone. I smiled. Sweet, sharp, razor honey smile. Good, now we're even. He took a breath. Can we at least agree not to drag Esme into this? She was already in it, Ryan, the moment you branded her with someone else's grief. He didn't respond. Just stared at the floor like maybe there was a trapdoor. And then I gave him one last gift. You want to be part of her life? I said. Start over? Fine, but you're going to therapy, with me, with a third party. You're going to tell the truth. To her someday, not just to me. And you're going to start by apologizing. Not for BuzzFeed, not for TikTok, but for her, because she deserves to know that her name was real, because it came from love, not from your cowardice. He nodded slowly, and then turned to leave. Ryan. He paused. I tossed him the flowers from the trash. Give these to someone else you plan to disappoint. And I closed the door. 2 weeks later, someone made merch. A white onesie that read, "Not your second chance." I bought it. Esme wore it on her 6-month milestone pic. And I posted it with a new caption. She's not a replacement, she's the original. Subscribe to my Mia's Stories YouTube channel for raw, emotional stories and authentic insights that encourage healing, growth, and understanding. Don't forget to be part of a supportive space where stories inspire and lessons resonate. What do you think about this story? Let us know in the comments. Your opinion truly matters to us, and we're here for you.